Welcome to the Patreon-only special of Clown World with Francis Foster. So for the Clown World episode, I want to talk about could nuclear war with Russia be good for Britain? I want to talk about NHS nurses, talk about decolonisation instead of how to do babies, and also this accusation of fat phobia for a Lyft driver. So look at this lassie here.
Jesus Christ.
She's a rapper.
Blanding tells us she was just trying to get to a Detroit Lions watch party this month when her Lyft rolled up.
As I'm walking, I see him like making faces or whatever. I'm like, oh man.
She already knew.
I can fit in this car.
Believe me, you can.
Yes, I can.
Believe me.
He told her there's not enough room in his car.
The kicker part was when he started to talk about his tires. You know, I feel like that was a slap in the face. That was like my tires, you know, like.
The driver said his tires could not handle her weight.
Every big person you turn down because they can't fit in your car?
Yeah, because they need to order the Uber XL instead.
You know what? I don't never have to order Uber XL.
He apologized, canceled the ride, and left her there. The rapper says she's pretty tough.
I get the money and flip it and make some food.
Dank DeMoss, as she's known at the mic, is crushed by the whole situation.
I just want them to know, like, it really hurt my feelings.
It looks like Lyft might be hurting pretty soon, too.
I knew it was illegal and I knew that it was wrong.
Her attorneys, John Marco and Zach Runyon, say weight is a protected characteristic in Michigan by law.
It would be no different than a driver pulling up and saying, you know, I don't want to have black people in my car, or I don't want to have Christians in my car, or Muslims in my car. It's the same. Under the law, it's the same.
The lawsuit is filed. Since she posted the encounter on social media, other full-figured folks have reached out saying the same thing happened to them.
Man, that's where we are now. But she can barely walk, and she must weigh a ton. And you see this with the airline seats as well. They're like, oh, I'm discriminated against because I don't fit in the airline seat. It's like, man, if you don't fit in the airline seat, like I don't fit in the airline seat, but it's because I'm tall. You know what I mean? I can't do anything about that. I can't go back to my childhood and start smoking sooner. Yeah. There's nothing. I'm just tall. You know what I mean? I can't make myself shorter.
How do you deal with economy seats? I can't. I'll be honest with you. Even at my height, I can't really do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of it's bizarrely better on long haul because they give you a bit more space. But some short haul flights are worse than others. Like I did a sort of tour of Southeast Asia back in like 2019, and like over there the short haul economy is even less legroom than here.
Yeah, because they're all fucking tiny.
There was one I literally couldn't fit. I couldn't fold myself. I had to like sort of be almost in a crouching position because I couldn't. My legs like wouldn't fit, and there was nowhere. I couldn't put them to the side or anything.
Did they offer you business?
No, and this is the thing I said like I don't fit, and they're like, you pay extra, and I'm like, I'm not paying extra. I'm tall and Scottish, so that's not going to happen.
How much were they saying to pay extra?
It was like £7.
Mate, you're fucking mental. I would have paid it in a heartbeat.
Oh, I pay it now, but back then, I was watching the pennies, you know?
Yeah. This is so stupid. It's like full-figured. You're fat!
That guy's right. Like that, honestly, if you cart that, and also they have an Uber XL. The XL is for fat people. It's like when you go to the clothes shops and it's got XL for the t-shirts for the fat people. It's got the Uber XL's got bigger doors. Yeah. It's usually a flatbed truck. They've got some sort of harness. You know,
they just winch you in.
Yeah, they hose you down with water to stop you, you know, to make sure you stay hydrated.
Yeah.
During the trip to the next SeaWorld. But you know, you can't just sort of be like a big fat shit. That's honestly your own choice. And this is the other thing, man. People are like, oh, being fat isn't a choice. And it's obviously your choice.
Is a choice.
It's a choice.
Of course it's a choice.
Like, and also if you say it's not a choice, then you're removing all sort of agency from yourself. And it's like, well, you got no self-control for anything. But she would have said it if this was true, unless, you know, you've got a thyroid condition. Or, you know, like some people have cancer, they take steroids, they just get obese. Yeah.
Right? But that's a tiny percentage of the population.
And some people have an overactive elbow when it comes to the fridge door. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's also, she's a rapper.
She's a rapper.
Whatever you say about...
She's a fucking food rapper.
Do you remember 50 Cent? How many times
Yeah.
did 50 Cent get shot? Didn't stop him from going to the gym.
Yeah, exactly. And also being a rapper, you'd want to make yourself a smaller target.
Yeah. And you'd also, as a rapper, you're meant to be a fucking badass.
Yeah.
That's the whole point of being a rapper.
Not a large ass.
Yeah. You're like, here's what I do. I fuck these women. I fuck this. I get this. I do this. People try and kill me. I fucking shoot them. And everyone's like, okay, that's what you... You're not meant to have a little bitch and moan because someone said you're too fat to fit in a car.
You know what? P. Diddy kind of ruined that image for rappers, because before rappers were all like, yeah, guns and hoes and drugs and stuff. And then we found out every single rapper pretty much had to suck P. Diddy's dick to get a record contract. And it's like, so you know what? It's not so much guns and being all street and tough and stuff. You're actually tickling P. Diddy's balls to get your record contract.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know...
Which actually, I don't know, maybe that makes him tougher. That's quite a thing. That's quite a baptism of fire to go through.
Yeah, what, taking a dick up your ass?
Yeah, exactly.
How much do you want it?
Yeah.
Are you...
How tough are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Can we do this with only baby oil?
Yeah.
This is,
Or are you willing to have your sphincter smashed in to have a recording contract?
The terrifying thing about that baby oil? It wasn't for lube. It was for he put it on the floor so people couldn't escape.
Really?
Well, that's what the rumors are. I'm not saying, hey, P. Diddy, I think you're an innocent man, but that's what people are saying. People are saying he
Really?
put it on the floor to stop so they'd slip and slide and couldn't get up. Yeah, that's what I'm always suspicious of flats that don't have carpets like this one. This shiny floor.
This is what we do, mate.
Baby oil residue.
This is exactly what we do here.
Here's the midwives story. So, midwives, we haven't discussed this already, have we? No, we haven't. NHS midwives are told, learn about white privilege before you can deliver babies. And they're taught about decolonisation, which is when you remove the colon. No, it's not. It's when you kill white people. And birthing people is part of their training. So this is the Royal College of Midwives. It wants universities to challenge the implicit and explicit legacies of colonial perspectives while teaching students how to practically deal with medical emergencies during pregnancy and birth. I mean, I'd have thought if you've got I've been present at a birth. Well, two actually, if you include my own. So it's quite a traumatic thing. Everybody talks about it like, oh, it's such a beautiful moment. It's not a beautiful moment at all. It's a part of your life when all the sort of, the niceties and the luxuries of life get stripped away, and it's like medieval and barbaric. There's literally a baby coming out, and there's blood and fluids and all sorts. It's brutal, and I was traumatized.
Tough wank.
So was the fertilization. But yeah, man, it's the sort of thing where you don't want the midwife to be distracted by having to worry about colonial perspectives.
Man, that's I've never. It must be so intense, isn't it?
Oh man, it was genuinely the most terrifying, most traumatic thing in my life. And I've been run over by a truck. I've picked up my leg. My leg's been flapping off and stuff. I've had traumatic stuff happen to me, and this was more traumatic. This is because it was somebody I love, and and it's the most sort of real, and we might as well be in a cave
really?
Thousands of years ago, when it happens. Obviously, it's better than being in a cave because you got medicine and stuff. The one thing I would say, because it's an NHS, just standard birth, because they had a shift changeover coming up, I get the feeling they sort of hurried the baby out. They were like, okay, we're going to induce you. Okay, we're doing this. No, she'd already been induced, but then they were like, half an hour before the shift changeover, they're like, okay, I've got tickets for the theatre. Whatever. Yeah. It felt a bit like that, and then it was all, get the baby out as quick as possible.
But isn't that also a safety thing though? Because the baby can start to panic, and then
it wasn't near that sort of. It just, it felt like, they had the shift changeover coming up, so they wanted to get out in that half hour before, they had to hand over, which might have been, what if it happened during the shift changeover, I don't know. But, I don't know, maybe I'm just projecting onto that. The one thing I would say about colonialism, Like, so having a baby in London, man, we were like the only white people. If you want to talk about who's being colonised, it's like...
you're the only white people, yeah. And you live in a posh part of London.
Oh, this was in Paddington.
Oh, was this? You lived in Paddington?
No, we didn't live in Paddington, but this is when we registered.
Yeah,
when we registered, we were still living like in Chiswick or whatever.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it wasn't like. I think we're going to save up and go private next time.
Really?
Because just to have like a sort of better experience, yeah. Because like there's the stuff afterwards, like it's quite traumatic. Like, you know, my wife had obviously had this traumatic thing, and you know, there's blood and all the rest of it. And the night shift, apparently the night shift, they don't put the same caliber of people on for the night shift. And they were, one of them was very sort of dismissive and like, you know, go clean yourself up and all this sort of stuff. You know, oh, what you want a thing, you want a pad, go clean yourself up. And it's like, man, she's giving birth to a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, because you notice the difference when you go private in the NHS. Because like NHS hospitals always seem to have this private floor where you can go. All of a sudden it's like there's a coffee machine, and you know you get spoken to like a real person,
like a human being.
And this is, you know, while the NHS is great in theory, I think we've already got this. It's almost like how China, you know, moved from a centrally controlled economy to a free market economy by just letting the factories, the steelworks and whatever, they produce their state quota, and then if they had extra capacity, they could produce more, and then the more efficient ones gradually produce more and more and more, and you know, the extra they could sell at market rates. And it's sort of the same with the NHS. So, you know, if you can afford it, you can jump queues and whatever by just paying. So we're sort of already sort of transitioning to, you know, we don't really have socialized healthcare anymore, unless, you know, like obviously for a lot of people, if it's something important, something expensive, you can't afford to jump the queue. If it's something else, like a consultation for you know, getting a mole looked at, you can probably afford to pay for it, and you get treated like a proper human being as well, instead of like a hindrance. Yeah.
That's. But you know what? I remember my mum saying to me that her birth was seriously traumatic.
Your birth.
And she was saying that the way that she was treated by NHS staff, and it was deeply, you know, it's not just you. I've heard that from lots of people. Lots of people. So
and I guess the focus for any doctor in that situation, or midwife or whatever, is getting the baby out safely. Yeah. So maybe, you know, you know, I'm not seeing it from that side.
Yeah, because it's also the heart rate, and you go, right, you know, we're now entering a danger zone here, so we've just got to get the kid out quickly as possible, so the kid doesn't start to panic and whatever else. I mean, who knows?
But I don't know why these nurses are getting taught about decolonization and like birthing people. So they're like, the thing is about, you know, I get that, you know, trans men, so people are born female, but then, you know, act like men and say they're men. Yeah. They can get pregnant and have babies, and that probably does happen. Doesn't happen an awful lot, you know what I mean? And also, you don't need to change all the literature to refer to birthing people, because the trans men know that they are female and have a fanny, have a baby, so they know that it refers to them. They're not like picking up the leaflet being the mother. What is a mother? You know what I mean? They get it. They know, and like, you know, you can't change. They don't. I'm sure most of them don't want to change the entire world to like comply with their particular, you know.
Some do.
Yeah, maybe some of them do.
Yeah. Look, it's just, and this is why I think we've now reached this point where people are like, you know what? I'm just sick of this bullshit. Fuck off. Just fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Just fuck off. Yeah. You know, it's, there's so much bullshit being talked about that no one can admit to. What I think the reality is, we've all just got to admit that, you know what, we just need to be honest. Yeah. There's men and there's women. Yeah. That's it. And we all know that, instead of like birthing people.
Yeah, birthing people.
Get your
Birthing.
chest feeders out for the lads.
Chest feeders and
Yeah.
the terminology they use. It sounds like something from an alien film.
Yeah.
A chest feeder. Oh my god, a chest feeder has burst out of that alien
Yeah.
egg and is now
Yeah.
on Ripley's face. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Chest feeder.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, it's so sinister.
Yeah.
Birthing person. It's ridiculous. And also this whole decolonization thing. This whole like left-wing focus on decolonization and abolishing whiteness and stuff, and it's through the church, it's through everything. This is the stuff that's feeding into this anti-white resentment.
Yeah.
It's leading to crimes. It's leading to attacks. And obviously, with Southport, we saw the ultimate, most horrific type of attack. But it's almost sort of justifying. Even if it's not stated as a cause or a motive for stuff like Islamic terrorism, it's sort of justifying it and excusing it.
Yeah.
Because it's happening against white people. So, they're even, the pale, stale males.
I think we're going to reach a point where I think we're rapidly coming to the point where we're already starting to see a backlash.
Yeah.
I think you can't keep pushing that narrative
Yeah.
without, I think those days are kind of numbered.
Well, I hope so, because it's bollocks.
Yeah.
And people go to jail for producing stickers that say it's okay to be white.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, there are other stickers as well, but
Yeah.
just the fact that saying something like "love your nation" or "it's okay to be white" could be problematic. It's like, surely even if you were one of these like decolonial, ultra lefty guys, you'd just let people have that.
Yeah.
Just because the "it's okay to be white" thing that started as bait. It started as a sort of 4chan whatever bait to say like what's the most innocent thing that we can get recognised as a far-right dog whistle? And so they put this out, it's okay to be white. And they took the left, the establishment, they took the bait and said, no, this is white supremacist because it's saying it's okay to be white. And it's like, no, it is okay to be white. There we go, I said it. Look, I'm a far-right extremist. I mean, it's okay to be white.
It is okay to be white.
In fact, no. So... What's the other thing could nuclear war with Russia be good for Britain?
No!
Yeah, of course it would be good for Britain. Oh, you're saying that because you live in the centre of London.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to move out. I mean, it wouldn't be great for me right now. I'm on like...
Do you know what the GDP in this country is if we took out London?
But do you know...
Equivalent to Mississippi.
But do you know
the poorest out of all.
Do you know where all the wankers are?
Here.
They're in London.
Yeah.
So, GDP, but wankers. What? Nobody ever looks at the global wanker rate or whatever, the equivalent of GDP is for wankers.
How are you going to make money?
How can you make money? We won't need money. We've got rid of all the wankers. Who needs money in that paradise?
What? What's going to be the industrial hub? Leeds?
Yeah. Maybe not Leeds. But honestly, if you took out all the urban centres, it would just leave the countryside. After a couple of weeks, most of I've been reading up about radiation. I've got a dosimeter now, so if there is a nuclear war, it's like a Geiger counter. It tells you the amount of radiation.
You are weird.
But we're going to have a nuclear war at some point. There's thousands of missiles on each side. China, Russia, everybody's got these missiles pointing at each other. You think nobody in the public? This is run by the public sector. You think there isn't going to be a fuck up and a nuclear missile gets fired off?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Some submarine gets a corrupted message or gets hacked, and then they're we should nuke Berlin. Fucking bingo. They do it. You know what I mean? It's going to happen at some point. If you're in Australia, if you're in the southern hemisphere, you're going to be protected from nuclear fallout to a certain extent by weather patterns, which tend to, it's because the Earth's rotation, the weather tends to circulate within the hemisphere. But even in the northern hemisphere, where all the action would be, after 2 weeks, the radiation drops away, like just radically, drastically. And there's 3 types of radioactive particle. Well, one's a wave. So there's alpha, beta, and gamma. So alpha particles and beta particles. So they're actual particles. It's like and they don't have electrons or whatever. So when they go near another atom, they pull an electron from it, and that's called ionization. And that screws up your body. So like if you swallow like fallout beta particles or whatever, it'll settle in your bones or whatever, and it'll cause cancers. It'll corrupt your DNA, whatever it is. But the beta particles and the alpha particles themselves, like a lot of them, the radiation is stopped by the surface layer of skin, which is dead skin. So you don't even, like, unless you ingest it, it's not doing you any harm. This is why I never understood, people having nuclear decontamination, getting it washed off. If you can stop it going in you or stop it being on your skin, you're pretty much safe.
Yeah.
Gamma's different. It's like an actual ray. It's on the electromagnetic spectrum, so it can travel through stuff and go through your body and all the rest of it. But they dissipate pretty quickly as well. And also, if you're if you're underground, if you've got enough stuff on top of you, they're not going to reach you. So, and obviously, these particles can stay in the soil, and then you eat a carrot and it's got these particles in it. But by and large, 2 weeks you're safe. And if you look at Hiroshima now. Obviously, the nukes now are way more powerful, more deadly and stuff. But Hiroshima wiped out by nuclear power. Now it's this thriving city. You know what I mean? Whereas if you look at where they've had socialism, it's like, look at Venezuela.
Yeah.
Completely fuck people eating out of bins and stuff.
Yeah.
So nuclear war is actually much better for a country than socialism. So we'd be better with nuclear war than a Labour government. It's the logic. You can't argue with the logic, Francis. I'm voting for nuclear war
Over a Labour government.
next time round. Yeah.
There you go. Who would you vote? Who's pro nuclear war?
Who is pro? Do we have a pro-nuclear war party? I don't know. Just whoever's going to go head to head with Putin more. Because the one thing I thought, when the invasion of Ukraine happened, and it became apparent that Russia's military capabilities were vastly overstated, and there was so much corruption. They didn't have the right tires. They used cheapy tires on their BTR, so they couldn't even the tires were just breaking up and falling off and stuff. So I was like, well, maybe it's the same with the nuclear, their nuclear missiles. Maybe they're all just rotted in the bunkers and stuff. But then a guy was explaining to me the nuclear stuff is the one part that they invested in and kept, working really well. Because it's the one thing that's an actual deterrent to the West. Yeah. Otherwise, we'd already gone into Russia and turned them all into, I was going to say communists, but
trans.
Somebody tried to get transgender communists. They're already doing that themselves. So
turn them trans. That's the way to defeat them.
Yeah.
Make them gay.
Well, Russia already is. It's got way higher levels of all that kind of stuff than people are like, oh, Putin's such a base defender of traditional values. It's like, man, no he isn't. You've got way higher rates of stuff like that in Russia, and drug abuse and HIV and all the rest of it than in other parts than the sad thing about Ukraine, and this is the reason I probably wouldn't fight in a war if I was asked to, is that those men are going and dying. And then once it's all sorted, Ukraine's going to have a manpower shortage because all these men have been killed or wounded. So they're going to bring in lots of people from the third world. So it's like you fought for your country and now it's getting taken off.
Yeah, but you're going to get a higher quality of bird.
It won't be women they're bringing in. Also, will the Ukrainian women go back? I don't know. No. It's a real shame for Ukrainian men. I just wanted to show you this. Because look at this guy. So this is Ross Ulbricht, who's the guy who made Silk Road, which is
an interesting story.
Yes, so Silk Road is like a sort of site where you can buy and sell stuff. So you buy drugs and stuff that it hides your transactions or whatever.
And child porn and other stuff as well. It was
And they didn't clamp down on it or anything. No. So the guy went to jail. I didn't know there was child porn on there, but the guy went to jail. Was there more than there is on Blue Sky? But the guy went to jail.
I don't know.
The guy went to jail for decades. But it was seen as
just over a decade. I think he was arrested in 2012, 2011.
But he wouldn't have been getting out.
No.
For a long time. He's been for life basically. Yeah. But people said it was unfair because it's even though the site was used for illegal stuff, it's like phones are used for illegal stuff. But you don't send the guy who owns the phone company to jail. You know what I mean? It's so there is a bit of an argument. Although man, I think if there's stuff like child porn, they need to they've got a responsibility to clamp down on that.
But also as well,
cut the testicles off.
But also as well, the express purpose, the reason it was created was to traffic illegal drugs.
Yeah.
That was its express.
Yeah, Silk Road.
Yeah.
Isn't that like wasn't that the drug route, the opium route?
Yeah,
or
yeah,
something?
yeah, it was.
Right.
Yeah, so that was its creation. That's why it was created.
Yeah. But then you got this guy. So he's been in jail for 10 years. Like they say here. So these are both men in their 40s. The other guy is Brian Johnson, who's a billionaire who's invested all these millions of pounds in, like, you know, youthful rejuvenating processes. Does loads of them. Probably gets coffee enemas, all the rest of it.
Doesn't he inject his kid's blood?
Yeah, he does some sort of weird thing where it's like, actually, when I was in Turkey, I had PRP, like platelet-rich plasma injections.
Really?
It was my own blood though. It wasn't.
Was it good? Did you feel better after it?
No, it's just to make my hair grow.
Oh, okay, right, fair enough.
But apparently, if you get it, then it like improves, you know, healing and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, so this guy's been in jail for 10 years in a high cortisol, constant fight or flight environment, which you think would be very stressful, would age you. And he's been eating, you know, just the worst
food,
prison food, you know what I mean? And the other one is a billionaire, spends all this money on biohacking and making himself rejuvenate. And they're both in their 40s. And this guy, this is a fair point, this guy's been in jail, looks younger and healthier than this guy, who kind of looks like a sort of 50-year-old woman.
He does. He looks like he's gone full lesbian, doesn't he? Because of the testosterone rate. But you know, I found that very interesting, the fact that Trump gave him an unequivocal pardon.
Yeah.
You know the reason why he did that?
Why?
Because of a promise he made to the Libertarian Party.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
the Libertarian Party really helped him out by having a really crappy leader.
Yeah.
Chase, whatever his name is. Who, like, you know, he was almost more Democrat Party than anything else. So it didn't take any votes away from Trump.
Yeah, and so when Trump did a speech to the Libertarian Party, he said that was his promise.
Right.
He said that if you vote for me, if I get voted in, it'll be a full unequivocal pardon for Ross Ulbricht. Which is I'm in two minds about it, because like the guy also tried to have someone killed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't remember who it was, but yeah. So he was openly.
I wish I didn't know all the facts about this.
Yeah. So he was openly talking to a hitman about getting rid of a guy. So the people and the libertarians, you know, the wackadoodle, like, you know, there should be no laws. It's like, yeah, come on, man.
Yeah.
You know that. Look, I won't pretend to say if his sentence was too severe or whatever else, but like, this ain't a good guy.
Yeah.
This ain't a good guy.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. But what's interesting with you know how Trump released like 1,500 January 6ers?
Yeah.
So they were going to go through, because some of the January 6 guys, you know, did assault
heroes,
police officers. Some of them, I'm like, yeah, no, you're essentially a political prisoner. You went along, you waved the flag, you were ushered onto this lawn, and then afterwards, like, oh, you stood on the lawn, you trespassed, and it's like you're ushered onto this lawn. You know what I mean? That's not trespass. But anyway, like, you know, I think it's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious that, you know, they were really punished with lawfare, which I'm sure it would never happen in this country. Tommy Robinson. Yeah. But yeah, they were punished. And Trump was going to go through and make sure he didn't release the ones that had done something really bad. But then there's like 1,500 of them, so it was going to be too complicated and take too long. So he was just like, they were going through, and he was like, fuck it, just let them all go.
Did you see there was one who refused the pardon?
Oh, really?
Because part of apparently accepting a pardon is you have to admit culpability.
Right. Oh, really?
And they were like, no, I didn't do anything wrong.
But do you think, so for Joe Biden's pardons, for Fauci, for, you know...
That was so interesting.
But
preemptive pardon.
Yeah, preemptive pardon. It's like, what have you got planned?
Yeah.
What have you done?
Yeah.
What have you done that you need this for? You know what I mean? What are we not being told?
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's loads of them as well.
It's almost like it came from a lab.
Yeah. Well, that's now. The CIA are now saying that it came from a lab. And I'm saying that would have got this kicked off YouTube.
Yeah.
Like 3 years ago.
Yeah, around that.
Yeah,
2025. So
2 years ago.
Yeah. 4 years ago, probably.
4
right?
years ago.
Yeah.
So you say that, and that's, you know, the far right conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
That shows how far we've come in 5 years. That's now just like a sort of established CIA point of view. You know, basically fact.
Yeah, and the fact, it's so
and it's so obvious.
Yeah, And the best bit was like, the China, because the CCP were just so helpful and honest.
The National Car Park Corporation.
Yeah, exactly. They were so helpful. They were so honest. They were just so open. And they just allowed people in to come in and have a look and see where this virus might have come from.
Yeah. And then they paid a bunch of doctors to sign a letter for the Lancet, and the Lancet published it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then people are like, what do you trust in your institutions? It's like, because the Lancet published this fucking letter that was obviously bollocks and like all orchestrated and paid for by the Communist Party of China.
And it's also as well, you get like, the Chinese doctors who were the whistleblowers, they all got COVID and died.
Yeah, the first guy who he shared it in the Chinese equivalent of WhatsApp and then got into trouble for that.
Yeah.
And he was only like 34 and he got COVID and died.
Yeah.
So interesting. Whereas I was older than that and I got COVID and I didn't die.
I nearly died.
Did you get the jab?
No.
You didn't get the jab?
No.
All right.
No.
I thought you were the sort of pussy who'd get the jab.
No, what do you mean I'm the sort of fucking pussy?
You're the sort of, the man on the telly says I should get the jab.
What the fuck are you talking about? No. I tell you what though, what the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, but fuck you. Fucking dick. No, I just the whole thing was dodgy from beginning to end.
Yeah.
It was so dodgy. I remember we did a live stream. This was in 2022, where we showed Barry Weiss, former New York Times journalist, being interviewed by Bill Maher on Bill Maher Tonight, and she made the case, which we all know to be true, that masks don't stop the spread of the virus or you contracting it.
They do stop the spread of your sexual fluids because nobody's going to have sex with a man in a mask.
That is true. And then what actually happened is they took it down. YouTube gave us a strike for medical misinformation.
No way.
Yeah. And then we put it out on Twitter and whatever else, and it got kicked up, and we ended up like... But it was so dumb. It was so stupid.
Yeah.
So stupid.
And so obviously.
Yeah, it's just
transparent. I think that's woke a lot of people up to the fact that the government doesn't always have your best interests at heart.
No.
It's got the government's best interests at heart.
Absolutely.
The state protects itself before it'll protect you.
Yeah, it will protect its the people in charge and its lackeys and all the rest of it. And you were way down the line.
Yeah.
You were way down the line. It's always going to do that. And it's going to do that whether it's something like Hillsborough, whether it's the pandemic, or whether, the grooming gangs, all of these scandals. We always have an inquiry. We had an inquiry for the grooming gangs in 2022.
Yeah.
And I was reading nothing. All the recommendations, none of them were acted on.
Yeah.
Because if we did act on them, you know what? People are going to be held to account, and some people might lose their job. And
or worse, or go to jail.
Yeah, which they deserve to.
Yeah.
Because if you allowed little girls to be raped and sexually abused
knowingly,
and it was intentional,
and covered it up and arrested the girls and arrested the parents, man, you know what I mean?
You deserve to go to
and you
jail.
know what, that wouldn't have happened in America. People in Britain like to be like, oh well, at least we don't have guns like in America. It's like, man, if they had guns, do you think anybody would be coming around doing that to their kids?
Yeah.
I mean, fair enough, a lot of the kids didn't have parents because they're in care homes or whatever, but it wouldn't be happening if people had AK-47s.
I mean, there's a counter argument, which is Axel Rudicabana actually said that he wanted to be the first school shooter.
Right.
But due to the fact he didn't have guns, he ended up going into the school and trying to attack people with a hockey stick.
Man, yeah. I mean, thank God he had a hockey stick then, but that just shows how the motivation is more important than the weapon. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Well,
because he did manage to do, and man, I would give anything to bring those girls back. Even if it's we have to, we have to deport everyone who's ever committed an offence that isn't British.
Yeah.
And people are like, oh, he's British, man. His parents came from Rwanda, a genocidal state. They came to Britain. Obviously, he's going to have these, he's going to carry trauma. He's going to have alienation and stuff. it's just a terrible thing. It's not in Britain's best interest. All our asylum laws and stuff need to be looked at.
They need to be looked at. The unfortunate thing is that he's a British citizen, so there's a very
bit of paper. You know what I mean? Like we need to. All these laws. I'm just saying laws can be changed. And honestly, if democracy won't deliver what the people want, then democracy is broken, and it's not democracy.
Well, democracy is broken.
Yeah.
And on that upbeat note,
that's it from us. Thanks for listening.
Make sure to come to the shows the 4th and 11th of February.